Alright, I really appreciate the support and y'all saying that like I shouldn't make videos and should rest up instead, but I'm nearing 100%, not like fully there, but we're getting there, so I'm gonna push forward. But I do appreciate y'all, and I also appreciate y'all for getting me to 16,000 subs as well. Be sure to subscribe because every 1,000 subs in January equals one Dazzler Pass for a February 1st giveaway. We already have one guaranteed because of the 16,000 milestone, and 17,000 has a bonus incentive of rank 3 Kang or OG Thanos. But now let's talk about a different kind of trophy champion. Let's talk about the Maestro. And as of yesterday, you are able to awaken him naturally from the Karina's challenges, and I just want to showcase like what you get when you choose his awakening and like how he really feels as a playable champion, especially on the attack side. We know that he's a defender obviously, but let's explore a bit more of this champion. First things first, right here, this is the super masochism node, and he actually does hard counter this node because he has the glancing mechanic. Now the glancing mechanic is one of the most annoying mechanics on defense, but it actually is one of the strongest abilities on attack as well, because whenever they hit your block, they have minus 100% ability accuracy. So like the masochism node, one of the more annoying nodes in this game, is just completely shut off by Maestro because he doesn't have any debuffs at base. He only has the parry stun, and to activate the parry stun, they have to hit your block, which triggers the glancing, which cancels out the node. But throughout this whole fight, you probably noticed something. When I drop the SP1, I refresh my Fury passives. This is what the Awakened ability does, pretty much. It also gives him additional Neutronium, so he will gain like a lot after every special activation, which basically means you will have your Superior Rage active for the entire fight if you play it right. But the most important thing is keeping those Furies active, because when you do that, you never have to go to the SP2 again, and you can just continuously spam SP1, which is his best source of DPS. So that turned like an unawakened Maestro, which was kind of annoying to play because you can do like one SP2, two SP1s, and then back to the SP2, which is a massive time loss. But now with the awakened ability, you can go SP2 and then just infinite SP1s because you refresh your Fury passives, and not only that, you gain bonus Neutronium, so you also have easier uptime with your like Superior Rage mode. So that's what the Awakened ability does. That's why I think it's really important to have if you want to play this champion on attack. It also has its defensive uses for sure, because his Neutronium is like his source of defensive power, so gaining bonus of that on his special attacks really helps him out on defense. So yeah, I think that Maestro, like awakening wise, is very good on both sides of the spectrum, but on attack it is just so helpful. I don't want to be dramatic, but he kind of feels like a completely different character whenever he is awakened, because you just save so much time, so much stress by just having the special attack refresh the Fury passives. It just makes it so much easier. It lets you lock in into that SP1 rotation, and once you're in that rotation, you never leave it because of the second part of the Awakened ability, which is the increased Neutronium during special attacks. So yeah, it's so helpful. You will notice it throughout this entire showcase, because as I am doing these fights, I am utilizing the Awakened ability by just dropping the SP2 and then spamming the SP1. That is my rotation for every single fight in this video, because that's all I have to do once Maestro is awakened. But here's the thing. Now I'm going to be showing you the utility of this champion. I already talked about him countering nodes like masochism with his glancing. I didn't mention the immunities yet, which he did just like showcase in the previous fight versus Odin. It was the contagion node, which is all about poison, which he is immune to, and this is the energy adoption node, which is all about shock, which he also is immune to, and he also has incinerate immunity. So he has triple immunities, and he also has the glancing mechanic, And the rest of this video is just going to be me like telling you about his offensive power. And like at the end of this video, I want you to decide for yourself, do I like what Maestro has to offer on attack, and do I want to enhance his attacking power by awakening him, or am I satisfied with Maestro unawakened because I don't plan on using him after watching this video? That is the point of this video, and I hope that it does help you out. Like, I hope it does help you learn about what this champion can do, and if you want to really invest in him by picking that dupe over the Titan Nexus Crystal. But keep in mind, no matter what, it does have some defensive use as well because of the bonus neutronium and the block penetration per neutronium. So yeah, keep in mind that even if you don't want to use him on attack, which is understandable, it still has some defensive value. So really think about if you want to invest in this champion on attack and defense throughout this video. Here we have this cosmic node, and he is somewhat decent at answering the utility demands of cosmic nodes, but only before he is in his superior rage. Once he is in his superior rage, he becomes really bad at answering a majority of the cosmic utility demands in questing scenarios, because he is a very anti-mystic cosmic, and for him to be that, he has to pretty much have no buffs on him once he is in his pure defensive phase. So that's what makes him like kind of problematic on attack, because once you have him built up, you really don't have much like cosmic utility, right? You don't have any buffs, you don't have any debuffs as well. He isn't really one to stop armor because he has no armor break. He has no true abilities, which is also a very common cosmic trope. He really just has his immunity sets and his anti-mystic defensive potential, as well as the utility of glancing. But besides that, he really doesn't do much. And I feel like while he is a very safe champion to play, and he does have his good immunity sets, I feel like he doesn't really have much going for him on the utility side. But he could handle these nodes very well, these cosmic nodes in Act 8. Here we have Safeguard, where he can bypass the Safeguard node with his SP1 blasts. So yeah, it's pretty helpful to have like easy access to the SP1, especially if you're trying to bypass any damage caps, and that's where the awaken ability comes into play, because when he's awakened, you can focus purely on the SP1 after you drop that first SP2. So it's very helpful for scenarios like this where the SP1 is the main source of damage for him in this matchup, and I'll be honest, it is the main source of damage in every Maestro matchup. So yeah, it's important to have like really easy access to it, and you do that by having him awakened, where you can just refresh the SP2 Furies. So yeah, man, like I'll be completely honest. I think he just like I don't know. I don't want to be like dramatic, but I think he does need it for attack. Like, I'll just be very straightforward. I think he does need to be awakened for attack, because the benefit that he gains is so massive in so many different scenarios that once you like get a taste of him awakened, you just don't want to go back. And of course, I've seen successful Maestro gameplay like unawakened, especially in like Alliance War, but I'll tell you now, I bet you that every single one of those Alliance War players that used him would be begging for the awaken ability right now, because it'd make all those fights that they took so much easier and so much faster as well. That part might go under the radar for sure, but it is a massive damage bump, because you have to like with the unawakened Maestro, you have to alternate your special attacks, which loses a lot of DPS, especially because the SP1 is the moneymaker, and dropping the SP2, that is the same like the same power level of dropping 2 SP1s. That is a lot of damage that you're missing out on because you're unawakened, right? But you know, getting those 2 SP1s back by not having to drop the SP2 more than once, that is a massive damage increase for this champion, and it will play a massive part in like, you know, just making him a faster character, which he honestly does need, right? Because let's be honest, his damage output isn't really that great even once he is awakened. And when he's unawakened, in these higher health pool scenarios, it is even worse, I feel like. So yeah, having access to just like the pure SP1 rotation is a massive lifesaver for his damage output that already needed massive help, and that's why I am like that's why I really just enjoy his awakened ability. But yeah, here we drop the SP1, fight's done, and yeah, now we've got one more matchup here. We have Gauntlet Dr. Doom. Now I put on full synergies here just to like really showcase his max power, and because this is a very hard matchup for like most champions that like aren't science. So this is a very odd one for Maestro, but it does a good job of showcasing what he can do. This is the bubble shield node, so he does actually counter that, because whenever you try to, you know, trigger the node, the glancing mechanic actually does trigger instead. So he is like pretty much perfect for it, because if you play it right, you will never trigger bubble shield once in this matchup, because glancing just takes care of it. Additionally, Dr. Doom is one of the tankiest champions in the game, and the only way to like pretty much damage him is by using DOT. And Maestro has access to that SP1 burst that he can use pretty much all the time, and exclusively use it once he's in his superior rage and he's dropped the SP2. Now if he was unawakened, this fight would be a whole lot longer, because every 2 SP1s I'd have to stop and go back into the SP2. And once I do that, I'd probably be out of superior rage, which is a massive loss of damage output. So yeah, this fight is kind of like perfectly showing you just how important the awakened ability is, while also showing you some things that Maestro can do. It also shows you that he is very anti-Mystic and also very anti-Dr. Doom, because he does have access to shock immunity, so even if the Nullify does trigger, we are just immune to the shock anyway. But then again, what can he nullify, because I have pretty much all passives on me besides the dexterity buff that I trigger every so often. So yeah, he is pretty much a perfect cosmic option for this matchup. It is a very clean one. I was a bit surprised that he like did this fight so well. Is it the fastest? Probably not, but it's like still a very good showcase of who Maestro is. And yeah, I really did enjoy it for sure. And you know, it's like 2 final bosses fighting each other. That's so cool. Like Maestro, he's such an awesome character, right? Like that can never be taken away from him. He is the final boss of Act 4, one of the more like notorious bosses in the game, because he was like the first roadblock for some players. And yeah, now he's playable. He's been playable, and it's been really fun to use him. And this matchup is pretty much done. So yeah, Awaken Maestro, massive difference, absolutely worth investing into. If you don't have a Cosmic Awakening gem, I would give Maestro the Natural Awakening from the Karinas challenges. It's the safe bet, right? And if you like this champion, you want to use him, that is the way to go, because unlocking his Awakened ability, I feel like just unlocks this character in general on attack. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on Maestro, and yeah, that's about it for me.